That's the advantage of being African. We're flexible.
I know. Yeah.
We make it work because
Yeah.
we hustle.
Yes. I like that. I like that. Okay. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Now let's go have fun.
Wine. Bye, guys.
Tea for some of us.
Okay, tea, but
Or
wine
smoothie.
for me. Do you want me to do it?
Ooh, you have to do it.
How do you usually do it?
I just say I'm going to talk to someone and then you appear.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, is it rolling?
Yeah.
Okay. So you ready? Okay, guys. Good evening, good morning,
Good afternoon.
good afternoon. My name is Spio-Garbrah, and I'm here with the lovely Jordan Awori
With a new hairstyle.
with a new hairstyle that's fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And we are having a couch conversation today. And what are we going to be speaking about?
We're going to speak about culture, design, you,
Entrepreneurship, creatives.
Africa. Yeah. So, let's start with the most important thing.
Okay.
So, you're Nana, yes? But who
I
is
believe
Nana?
so.
Yes.
So I'm an interior design consultant.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I like to term myself as a design activist. So I do PR and media for homeware brands that want to go into new African markets or even abroad.
Okay.
I do sourcing and procurement. We do have interior design projects. So we do e-design and interior design projects, but we always associate ourselves with an architectural firm because we have not, or I have not, I don't have the formal credentials. So when it gets to certain electrical, plumbing type things, you need a certified person. But in terms of the design, the space planning, the flow, we handle that.
And by we, you mean?
Me and my very small team.
Referred to as?
Blueprint Africa.
Yes.
Have I not said my name on the
No! Like I've been trying to guide you the whole way. Like,
I'm
not
sorry.
even.
Blueprint Africa. Blueprint Africa. Remember, Blueprint Africa.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Now, before we dwell further into Blueprint Africa, let's find out more about its founder.
Where in this whole large continent world are you from specifically? What's your story?
Yeah, so I get this question obviously a lot. Where are you from? It's always a challenge to answer because I'm a bit of a mutt. I'm a third culture kid. So if you're familiar with that term, it's like people who have, their parents are from different places, they were born in a different place, they live in a different place.
Okay. And then they finally end up somewhere different.
Yeah,
Okay.
so my dad's from Ghana.
Okay.
Born in Kumasi, but we are from the Cape Coast region. And my mother is from Cote d'Ivoire. But her mother is from Cape Verde.
Okay.
And she was born in Senegal.
Your mom or your grandma now?
My mother. And I was born in the United States. And I currently live in Abidjan. So I grew up a bit all over the place. I think let's see, growing up, I lived in Abidjan and Accra, but mainly in the US, between Washington, D.C. and the surrounding suburbs.
Okay.
And then London for graduate school. I lived 5 years in Tunisia for work. And I recently moved back to Abidjan 3 years ago.
How long were you in the States?
Over 20 years.
Really? It's interesting. So 3 years back, I guess 5 years, 3, so 8 years in Africa.
To be fair, when you have African parents, like your house is like an embassy. Like the minute you step, across the threshold of the house, you're back in Africa. So we ate African food.
Okay, so there was
there was no talking back to my parents.
Also, there's no like culture shock when you came back and you're like, what's going on? Okay.
Well, there was a bit of culture shock when I moved back because I was young. So I was, I think 9 when we moved to Abidjan. That was the first country we moved to. And my uncles have this really hilarious story about my first experience seeing a live chicken. Terrified and ran screaming and everyone was laughing.
So now, What about career-wise? Like, what did we study? Let's see the journey that brought you here.
So I work in development banking, which is why I fell in love with the continent, because it allowed me to travel a lot and meet different craftsmen, different artisans, see different cultural references, different architecture. And I studied economics for the same reasons. A lot of African, especially first generation in the diaspora, study engineering, law, medicine, or finance because your parents basically said that's all you can do. And then finance in grad school. And then, and then went into private sector. So I was in management consulting. And then went into development banking.
So, okay, so development banking, but then how are you sitting here in a channel about design, talking to somebody who's a design enthusiast? So, if anyone is watching and they're thinking, oh, let me switch off because what do I care about economics?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, there's a lot of career shifters. So a lot of people in design, you know, at least where I was coming from, there wasn't that opportunity to go directly into the creative arts field.
So you had a passion for the creatives from the get-go?
Yes.
Okay.
It was always there. So I used to draw. I have a published book of poems. Like I was always an artistic person, especially when it came to creative writing. Like that was my thing back then. But I just, you know, it wasn't a career path. It was like something you just did.
A hobby.
But then when I moved to Tunis for my job, I really, really was impressed with the Tunisian ecosystem. Like the government really supported the artisan sector. They had great manufacturing, very good savoir-faire. And I was just really inspired. So I started, well, no, let me backtrack. When I was still in the US, I bought my first property.
Okay.
When I bought my first property, it was a fixer-upper. So, you know, I was young, I was in my mid-20s, I didn't have a lot of money. I was like, oh my gosh, I've just...
in your mid-20s?
Yeah.
Please, let's take a moment. Yeah.
So, I was like, no, I need to do this on a budget. And so, I learned how to do a lot of things by myself. And that is where... And my mom has always had a flair for homemaking and interior design. So she was the type of mom that you would come in, like, I would go away for school and come home for holidays and the house would be totally rearranged. Like it was one of those people. So it's always been there, but when I got my own property, I really caught the bug of DIY and renovations and all that stuff. So then I moved to Tunisia and I was really impressed with their artisan scene. And their cost of living is like super low.
Really?
So you can get like a huge, gorgeous house. Like my house had stained glass windows. Like it was insane. And I was like, I am going to decorate the crap out of this place.
Okay.
Yeah. And they have a really strong architecture. They have really strong architecture schools. So basically, Tunisia, North Africa generally has really strong real estate. So then again, I was inspired. So I was going around and I was like buying local things. I wanted local carpenters to do everything.
And their quality is good.
Quality is good.
Okay.
So people would come over and be like, wow, where did you find XYZ? Where did you find XYZ? So I was like, why is this so hard? And then I also, or why is this so hard for people? And then I also would go online because I was like, I want a space that reflects my identity as a modern contemporary African person. Like I don't want masks everywhere. I don't want my house to look like a shrine.
To somebody walks in and they're like, okay, coming to America.
Right? So I was like, okay, let me go online and get some inspiration. Zero.
How many years ago is this?
This is 2014.
Okay.
But even
like
today,
5-6 years ago.
Yeah, but even today, if you Google African design,
it's the same
cliche, zebra print, whatever.
Yes, and that's also like something that also irritates me because then it becomes our narrative design-wise is this
monolithic.
Yes, yet on a day-to-day basis, there are modern touches of how we dress, how we speak, how we like. We are not this whole museum-esque, traditional, like we've evolved, so why isn't the perception of our design evolving with us?
Because we don't control our media. We don't control the narrative. So when I started putting together, like aggregating images from when I would go shopping in Tunisia, images of things I would find.
The true reflection of
on Pinterest. And like I would start really hunting for like African designers. And I was just, putting them in one place on Pinterest. And then before I knew, my Pinterest had blown up. Like I don't know how many, I had gone in like 10,000 followers, like within a very short period of time. And I was like, okay, what's happening? And then from there, people would see images and be like, oh my gosh, where's that from? I want it, how can you send it to me? And there would be shops, like boutiques in Europe, Australia, that stocked these things, but they were physically having to come to the continent, find it, like it was really onerous and expensive for them. So basically my first foray into the business side of design was sourcing. Just helping retailers find design that was African, but especially contemporary, that they had never known about before.
Was your target market people abroad, so people outside the continent, or did it also include people within the continent?
I really, and to this day, I really do want to get people, African people, resident on the continent, to buy our own things. Like,
but more often than not, it tends to be
an export thing, and we tend to import from Italy, from Turkey, from Dubai. So I don't know if it's just the way things are, that people want things that they don't have readily accessible, or if we have some kind of psychological or mindset problem with investing in our own.
No, we do.
Design market.
I strongly believe we do. It's a self-reflection thing. We don't see our own worth. And perfect example of things, if you even go outside the design field, if you go, let's say, like musicians or actors, we only respect our musicians or our actors, or we'll claim them
validated
so it's like you couldn't go to this man's concert, the music is the same, but now all of a sudden, because he's at the Grammys, he's of value. And that has
shout out to Brenham.
Burna Boy, I know. And Lupita with acting, and but like we need to learn how to value our people here. Like it doesn't matter whether you went into got onto a plane and left this continent. You are still of value here.
Yeah, but I think it is shifting. I think unfortunately design is like the ugly duckling, or like the leftover cousin of the design, ecosystem. Because fashion,
interior design now. You mean
interior design? Because, and product design even. I mean, it started with fashion, right? So when Stella Jean and Stella McCartney and all these guys started using wax prints on their runways, everyone felt like it was some novel revolution. But as you said, it gave us, it validated us in being like, oh, okay, maybe that, Ankara print dress that I kind of hid in the back of my closet is not so bad.
The one I only wear to a wedding because I'm forced to wear, or
maybe I can wear it on casual Friday, and I think that that's also translating to film and to, literature's always kind of been there. African literature's been there with Chinua Achebe, etc. But now fashion and music and film are coming up with like Lionheart out of Nigeria on Netflix and all these things. But I still don't feel that product design, especially for interiors, has quite gotten there yet, but then it means it's a great time because the wave is getting to us, right?
Yeah, that's also us people who are in the field. Our eyes are slowly starting to open. Like we're realizing, okay, now it's our turn. Like we've been left behind, and maybe we've been waiting for some force to pull us along. Now it's just for us to push ourselves
out there. We have to push. I mean, the thing that I wanted to say earlier was that the reason that African design is like associated with out of Africa and this safari whatever is because we don't tell our own narratives. So like one of my first projects as a actual business was the set design for a very small TV show called An African City.
No, this is the part I post. me, I've been acting too cool with you for more than a year. Now this is the part I reveal. So, how we know each other is we were part of the virtual paid summit.
Yes, and paid summit, shout out to Awori,
Yes.
Alile, is the Pan-African Interior Design Summit.
Yes. Yeah. So, I remember when I saw like who I was on the panel with, and I saw your name, and then I researched, and I saw, what's the series called again?
An African City.
I remember I discovered it on YouTube randomly.
Exactly.
And I was so shocked at how Sex and the City-esque it wasn't trying to sell me some narrative of Africa that was like, it just looked like me and my friends. Like there was no trying to, okay, yes, it's acting, yes, things are embellished, but I related so, they had like 2 seasons or something like that, or 1 season or something. I was so annoyed.
Yes. Well, people are working on it.
Okay.
They're working on it. They're working on it.
Okay. But then I really loved it. And to be honest, for me, that was one of the first moments I can recall where I was actually proud to be African.
Oh.
Like really, like I'm not even saying this to your own or whatever. Like I can consciously just remember watching something that I could connect with. It was a very deep moment. So like being on this panel and finding out you were behind the set.
Yeah.
Design.
But even me, it was my first job. Like it was my first professional job. And I have to really give thanks to the production team because I mean, they're friends and they really took a chance on me, and it was definitely a joint effort. I mean, there were other interior decorators and designers working on it. I was assistant set decorator, so there was another friend of ours that was set decorator. But yeah, it was a joint effort, and it was really a passion project for the creator, and it just spread like wildfire and was a huge success. But the reason that it was so important is because she's probably one of the only people,
the director now,
the director who explicitly was like, everything about this show needs to be contemporary Africa, including the design, and including the interior design, the sets of the ladies.
The fashion really stood out.
Yeah,
for me. Yeah.
So I don't feel like enough like TV productions, music videos, yes, but like TV productions and movies, like they don't put in that extra effort of like hiring African interior designers to come and do their sets. Like they just go on location, or they put something together that's not very aesthetically
pleasing or true reflection to whoever that character is.
Yeah, and then even, for example, like one of my pet peeves is like conferences or fashion shows. Like set design it should be everywhere. Like anything that's an event, even exhibition, like trade exhibitions. If you're an African selling African culture through a product, like your sets, your environment, your store, visual merchandising, everything needs to reflect the product that you're selling. But I feel like people don't put that extra effort, maybe because the correlation with returns is not there. So they're like, well, even if I put in this extra effort, like nobody's gonna pay $1 extra because the place looks nice. But I actually think people will. Like I like being in nice spaces.
Okay, with that said, let's find out
how you go about picking the people
resource.
Yeah.
Yes. So we look at first the aesthetics, right? So does it match what the client brief is? Is it minimalist? Is it more colorful? Is it eco-friendly? Whatever it is that the client needs.
So it doesn't just have to be African.
No, the client will ask for other things. I mean, they have a shop based on their own target market.
Okay.
So we curate based on what's going to sell for them, not just, so we have to also know our client very well and their sales patterns and their target market.
Imagine someone who's watching and maybe they're like, okay, my aesthetic is not necessarily cliche African or has an African touch to it, yet I have African clients, so it makes my product for the African people. So what if I'm doing Scandinavian design? Am I still a candidate?
Absolutely. I mean, our definition, first of all, there's no definition of African design, right? I mean, to me, there is not.
Okay.
It's very, I could not today, first of all, Africa is so broad, it's 54 countries, so to even say that there's something called African design is a bit tricky. And then if I were to define Korean design, like, I have stereotypes in my mind, but I don't know that that's how they would define it. So I don't like to
have a blanket definition.
Have a box that it fits in. So if somebody's doing Scandi, that's fine. I mean, there are 2 Nigerian designers that I have worked with. One that does tableware and one that does furniture. The Da brand is the tableware and kitchenware one, and then Ila is the furniture brand. And they both ascribe to Scandinavian minimalist clean line aesthetics, but they're Nigerian and their products are produced in Nigeria. So I think that, you know, it's totally fine. I also have another designer that I've worked with whose products are made in Limoges, France, but she designs them, and the narrative around the design is inspired by Africa. So our definition is a bit loose, but so it doesn't really matter the aesthetic that you are employing.
What matters is?
What matters is that somehow the inspiration for what you've done is derived from either your own ethnicity being African or some African experience. So that's the first thing, aligning with the client's aesthetics and brief. Then production lead times, because restocking is an issue. No retailer wants to present a product and it really sells well and then have to wait 3 months, 6 months to get a restock. So tight production times are preferred, but at least having standardized production times so we can plan in advance and know when things will come. And know that the designer is disciplined or the manufacturer is disciplined about meeting deadlines. Then other things are price point, logistical concerns on how heavy is the item, is it customizable, is it a customized design, or can it be flat packed, or can it be easily boxed, or what have you. Wholesale pricing, so what level of margin would the retailer be able to put as a top up within their boutique. And then really, to be honest, one of the biggest factors is relationship. Like,
between you and the designer.
Yeah, like we need to have a good relationship. It can't just be business.
I get what you mean. Because then with the relationship you can trust. You can trust. If you tell me 4 weeks, it's 4 weeks.
Trust is the biggest currency in this business because
true.
Again, like I said, projects have so many moving parts. Like the less I have to stress about you delivering, the more time I have to focus on other things that may be moving in whatever direction. So I try as much as possible, like even with designers I'm not currently working with now, like I always try to drop them a line. I want to stay in touch with them. I want to know what they're doing. Because people want to work with their friends, like it or not. Like,
it's true.
That's just the reality, and having a good relationship helps with having a good business relationship.
You were saying like even designers you're not working with, you drop them an email. So my next question is how you find these designers. So if you have all those designers and artisans all over this continent, have you been to those continents? Do you personally go around and source and find them? How does that work? How do you balance that with your other job? Like, it seems fine and dandy, but then how are you juggling all this and how do you go to all these countries?
That's my second evidently. But so obviously my job helps with the travel. That's for sure. But I also have certain agents, let's say, or business development people in different countries. So for example, I have one in South Africa and one in Tunisia. So they help me identify new upcoming brands.
Okay.
Then you'd be surprised that actual designers will refer me to other designers or refer me to, their friends that are also entering that space. So there's some kind of camaraderie and community even within them. So there's a lot of referrals.
Okay.
And then social media is everyone's best friend. Like I found so many amazing brands just on Instagram.
Okay, but then you still have to go see.
Yes.
Because
so
that's the other thing. Social media makes these things look perfect, and then you go there.
I agree. So I always have to, and that goes back to your previous questions about who would I curate. It's only people that I've vetted or physically have gone to see where they produce, or that one of my agents has seen, or that comes highly referred by one of my other vetted people.
What's the worst situation you've ever had with Blueprint Africa, with the artisans you deal with, or designers, or a client who needs anything? What's like a horror story? I like starting with the bad things. Then when you tell us the good things, we'll be like, oh wow, yeah.
I would say generally I found partnerships difficult. Unfortunately, I think that people have what I call plant the flag syndrome. Like they want to go somewhere and say, I did it, I did it by myself. I was the only one.
Okay.
This event, this brand, this whatever is only associated with me. Like they don't.
So it's just selfishness. Is this the simple?
I don't know if I would go so far as to say selfishness, but they don't understand the power of collaboration and aggregation. Like
selfishness.
I'll just say that that has been my challenge, and I always wonder if I always try not to take it personally, but I do get a bit introspective, like why didn't this work out? Was I being too demanding? Was I asking, because I feel like sometimes people don't value the contribution that I'm making. They don't. One of the main challenges I have is getting people to understand that you have to pay for what I'm giving. Like consulting, advisory, you pay. You pay McKinsey, you pay whoever, you pay advisors.
Yeah.
The fact, don't like I have people always come to me like, oh, I'm traveling to blah blah blah. Tell me all the people I should go meet, and I'm like, I spent years getting these contacts, making these, building these relationships. Like, I'm okay sharing certain information, but I always feel like people, they really want to dig in to what I consider my intellectual property.
Yeah, which is.
So I think that's been the main challenge, because when I get into collaborations, and I'm like, well, this is what I'm bringing. Like, I'm bringing you my whole network of 200 people. Like, I'm bringing you quick service. I'm bringing you my knowledge. And people are like, and I'm like, okay, and this is my fee. Or this is what I want to get out of this partnership with you. People don't value it equally because it's not tangible.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Do you think it's an African problem, though? Or do you think it's a worldwide issue?
I can't say, because the only partnerships I've tried to have been with Africa on the continent. So I don't.
So you can't just generalize.
Yeah. So I don't know, but it's definitely been an issue. That's been, I think, the primary challenge.
Okay.
Partnering with others, with others in this field, because I feel like everybody wants to do their own thing. People don't like being challenged. They don't want to negotiate. It's kind of like. So I'm really grateful for those few collaborations and partnerships that I did have that were successful, and I'm still trying to learn what is the
right approach.
The right approach.
Since you're dealing, we tend to generalize ourselves, or the world generalizes that African, so we are all the same, but there are differences.
Definitely.
Okay, even within a region. So even us with Tanzanians, we're different. Kenyans, yeah. But let's just bracket it. Let's take West Africa and South Africa. What's the biggest difference you've seen working with these regions?
With the regions?
Yeah, like the various regions. What's the one thing you can say in West Africa? This is a pro. This is quick, easy, I love this about West Africa. East Africa, this is the main characteristic I notice when I work with East Africans. Like, is there any way you can bracket it as within your field?
Well, okay, for West Africa, I would say that we're very much into our textiles. Very, very much so. I think in West Africa, I'm more likely to see people walking around in Ankara.
True.
So, in really African looking, like they look very African than in, say, Southern Africa. I think that's super rare for me to see on a general basis. So I think we're just more into our fabrics. East Africa, I don't know. I can't say that there's something that specifically pops out at me. I think the major difference, though, is not regional, it's Francophone, Anglophone.
Okay.
Yeah. Francophone, Anglophone they're very different culturally. Anglophones tend to be much, much more entrepreneurial. So their creative businesses are more, I think, structured and have a bit more, like, they're more about sales and they're targeting like exposure and they're very like driven and whereas the Francophone side, they're more artistic. So they're more, not more, but their emphasis is like very visual, artistic, like, and then maybe not as much on the structuring of the business side.
Interesting. I never even thought of dividing the continent like that.
Other than seeing differences between the English and French speakers, she also saw a notable difference when it came to North Africa as compared to the rest of the continent.
But North Africa is kind of its own animal.
Yeah,
they already have structure just by virtue of their countries, all of them being generally middle-income countries, so they already have a lot of structure there. But what I would say about Northern Africa is that their government has really recognized that the creative industries needs to be invested in, and that they are a lever of tourism, they're a lever for manufacturing, a lever for GDP growth. So they like really subsidize like timber. They're just more involved in making sure their artisans and their creatives flourish.
I didn't know. I'm actually learning that from you.
Yeah. In terms of furniture, I mean, in terms of the art scene, they're a bit not allowed to be as expressive as, say, we would be because of religious reasons. Yeah. But in terms of product design, yeah.
And also the interior design, I'm assuming.
Yes.
So, okay.
Because they have very strong architecture schools and a lot of vocational schools for design, and they're middle-income countries, so their own consumers buy a lot. They're close to Europe, so it's easy to export. So, yeah, they have a much more sophisticated design.
Speaking of export,
yeah,
and like a conversation we had on the side about like this continent and how it's so hard if you're making something here, how to take it to another part of this continent. How are you handling taking things out around the continent? What magical powers are these?
Bulk. Containers. If you don't move it, doing drop shipping is near impossible for furniture. I mean, there's a lot of platforms that are trying to, even Africa tried to do home. There was another platform. There's a lot of e-commerce platforms that are trying to do home, but it can't work because the weight alone makes the shipping cost more than the cost of the item. So bulk is best.
Is policy something you think you believe you could get into at some point in your life?
Yeah, you have. I mean, unless you're at the table, you can't affect anything. So at some point, it would be good to have some voice in, export policy. I mean, we're all talking about this Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's gonna work. I'm on the fence about whether to be excited about it or not.
Why?
I don't want my bubble to be burst.
Okay.
No, but just because we've always launched so many of these initiatives, and then the implementation, like, Africa's never had a problem with passing laws. or legislation. Our parliaments work overtime. Like we have every single law possible on the books. Our issue is about implementation and enforcement.
Yeah.
So for me, unless like they can draft whatever fancy legislation they want to draft, unless there's some real investment in enforcement and implementation, then we're doomed. Because even small ECOWAS, we can barely, move things freely. So let alone how are we going to be doing the whole continent?
Okay, so we've talked about the cons, I guess, within your industry. Now to the fun part, the pros. Like if anyone is watching this and they're like, oh my god, I'd really love to do what you're doing. What are the pros of what you do?
I love, well, first of all, you meet all kinds of amazing people. I love meeting people. Like I was recently in Rwanda and met a founder who is using coffee grounds to make cups. Yeah, that's what I said. But yeah, like I don't know how he does it, but
you saw the final cup.
I saw the final cup, and it's nice. It's a cup, but it's made of coffee. Coffee mixed with resin. Coffee grounds mixed with resin. And I was just like, this is amazing. It's eco-friendly, it's recycling, it's using something that we throw away as its raw material. So I just love the innovation. I don't create on my own. And my view of Blueprint Africa is to be a platform for others. Like I want to be the spokesperson like smaller brands that are in some small town somewhere that don't have that don't have the voice or can't scream loud enough about the amazing things they're doing. So I think the biggest joy for me is just meeting people and seeing what we're capable of, and my job is to make sure that we trust ourselves, we believe in ourselves, and that we have access to resources, media. Like I said, I really want to get into manufacturing, so if anybody is out there that like wants to fund my dream or help me figure out how to do that.
Manufacturing interior products.
Yeah, because I work with so many designers who can't license their designs. Like people come to me with books of designs that they've drawn or they've come up with or they've digitized, but they just don't have money to manufacture, because most good manufacturers for home are in Portugal, Germany, Italy. Yeah. Maybe South Africa as well. But they have minimums. So unless you're producing 1,000 units, they're not interested. And they're like, well, I don't even know if this thing's gonna sell. So I don't only want 10, 20 units, but I need somebody who's going to take these designs, manufacture them, have an outlet where at least I can see if the prototypes move before I invest properly in doing 1,000
pieces, which is common sense. Yeah, if you really think about it. So it's such a shame that they have to suffer.
Yeah, so they don't have those opportunities. Maybe they'll have, so that's where the finishing becomes a problem, because they can't get access to the machines, so they have to rely on handmade. And this is how we stay in this artisanal bubble of it's made by hand and whatever. But really, a lot of the designs could be manufactured and mass produced if we have the right environment. So for me, I would really, like, ultimately, if you ask me what I want to be in 10 years, or I want Blueprint Africa to be in 10 years, I would like to have a manufacturing, I would like to be like Moroso. Okay. Where I just get designers, we do a collection, I manufacture it, I have an outlet where I sell it, and then I go work with another designer, like on a rotational basis. I see what the best sellers are, maybe I keep those in production. If it didn't sell, then at least also the designer knows that, okay, this, because the other thing we don't have is data. Like the designers don't have data on, they don't have consumer market data. There's no data on tastes. What are people buying? What colors do they like? What price point for each demographic? Like if you're targeting somebody between 30 and 40, how much would they spend on a couch realistically? Like, so they have no bearing on what to make. And this is completely different from what happens in the US, where it's totally data driven, you know?
You won't sit down and design something without knowing who your client is, longevity of your product.
Because you're just shooting in the dark, and it's important for designers to design what they love and what they perceive, but they should have some kind of foundation to say, well, I like this aesthetic, but now, you know, my target client likes curves, so let me put a small curve somewhere.
Let me adjust for them, because I'm making it, yes, and it's a reflection of my brand and my taste, yes, but it's going into someone's homes.
That's if you want to sell. If you want to do art for exhibition and you just put it in a gallery, then but if you want to sell on a like massive scale, like we need data. We just don't have any data.
And I think also it's, as you said, it's based on the fact that more often than not, designers and artists and artisans, you think more of the creative end. And then when it comes to the logistics, it's like, no. As long as I love it,
it's fine.
Now to my fun questions.
Yes!
Okay, but the others weren't. So, okay, might be more fun for me than you. Okay. I want 3 random things about you.
About me?
Not blueprint, just you. 3 things. You don't have to go too random that no one would know. No one who follows you online or anything would know, that they'd be so shocked to find out your clients. And people you work with will be like, huh? Like something cool and fun and random.
Okay, I've met the Queen of England.
How, where, when?
England. My dad used to be an ambassador. And so on some occasion, I can't remember when, but I was young because I remember not wanting to go. I didn't understand the value of like meeting a queen. So I was just like, why am I getting up early and having to wear this like very hot kente outfit?
How old were you?
Oh, God, must have been like 11.
Okay.
And but I still have the invitation because it says Her Majesty the Queen invite and have my name. And my dad was like, you will keep this, one day you'll appreciate it.
And the day has come, the day came.
So I went to the Queen of England and I shook her hand with a glove. But yes.
You have to wear a glove, or she
was a glove.
Oh, okay, so you shook her glove.
I shook her glove.
Yeah.
So that was cool. So that's random.
Uh-huh.
I went skydiving.
Really?
I love skydiving.
You love it. Like, it wasn't just a bucket. Wait, love it means you've done it more than once.
Yes. What? I love skydiving.
Wait, where? What? Huh?
You did it in the US. I haven't done it outside of the US yet.
How many times have you done it?
3.
1 is one too many for me.
It's
what?
Amazing.
So heights are
not
a problem with, you don't have a problem with heights?
No. I'm not afraid of heights at all.
Okay. You're a bit of a...
I don't want to say an adrenaline junkie, but I don't... Like, the things I'm afraid of are more psychological. Like, fear of failure and fear of, like, you know, somebody coming and attacking you in the middle of the night. But things like...
a cobra.
Yeah, I'm terrified of cockroaches.
You can jump out of a plane.
Yeah, it's... You said random!
Okay, I'm not judging. Okay.
I'm really scared of cockroaches. Like, I can't stand the sight of cockroaches. Like, they make me...
There's one thing I forgot, or you forgot to mention, or I forgot to ask. How old is Blueprint Africa?
So, going into... Because you're going to ask me random questions about the business as well, right?
Yeah.
So... A random question about the business is that our birthday is on New Year's Eve. We were established December 31st, 2015 as an official business. I mean, we're a brand before, but on my articles of incorporation, December 31st, 2015.
Ooh, okay. So when you're jumping the new year is usually a big thing.
Yeah. So it took me, I was trying to register in Ghana while I was in Tunisia. And then I hired like a lawyer or an accountant, whatever, and that doesn't work out because he was like, anyway, in business you get into such people and you learn. So I was like, all right, I have to do this myself, because I think he tried for like a year, and every time I talked to him, he'd be like, there's this new paperwork, there's this. He wasn't advising me properly. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this on my own. So I went out during Christmas, which is usually when I was in Ghana at that time. And I went to the registrar myself, and I also struggled because I couldn't get the right person or something. And so, you know, my mom was like, okay, no, we're going. So then I was really sad because I was like, oh, I've been trying, this is like ridiculous, it's taking forever, what's happening? Yeah. So my mom was like, no, it's New Year's Eve. This is gonna happen before. We're not crossing over. You know how like
not 2016 without this.
Without this thing. So she dragged me out of bed. We sat in the registrar. We went to the registrar
on
general.
New Year's Eve on 31st.
Yes,
basically
on there. They were open. I don't know why she was there. She found her number. She called her. She was like, "We're coming." We sat in her office. So even the registrar general directly helped us to do it. So we did it in one day.
Wow, something you had tried to do for how many months?
Like 9 or 10.
Because I guess if something is meant to be, it's just meant to be.
Yeah, and the power of moms, like I don't understand. Like they
I know.
Make stuff happen.
I know.
I don't know. So yeah.
Okay, that's random number one.
Random number two. I'm the only full-time staff. That's random.
Okay.
A lot of people don't expect that. So I actually mobilize. So I have like a roster of every type of skill that I need, and I just mobilize them when I have a project. So I keep the company very lean until there's something for them to do.
And
so everything else, the social media, everything else is me. So people are always surprised because I do also work.
So how are you doing all that and still juggling a job? What magic is this?
I'm very into apps. Like people don't use apps. I use FreshBooks. I use Trello. I use Buffer.
So basically, technology is your other employee, basically.
Yeah. It's amazing how much you can do with apps that people like. My office is my phone. Like if I lose my phone, I'm dead.
But there's a cloud.
Yeah, so it's in the cloud. But I mean, like everything. I don't even use a computer. Like everything's in my.
Really?
I use computer to do designs and stuff like that. But my phone is like my lifeline. Blueprint has also been recognized by. So we've been accepted to 2 incubators. People don't know that.
Okay.
The first one being African Women's Entrepreneurship Cooperative, AWEC, and the second one being Tony on the Move. Yeah, so now we're getting ready to pitch because we have a few, like I said, manufacturing and other projects we want to do. So we're going to the growth stage, so we're going to be pitching. Yeah, I think we're just getting to that stage where it would be good to have additional guidance, mentorship, support, funding, all that to fuel, because there's so much money out there and other people are getting it, and I'm like, it should be me.
Now you know about Blueprint Africa and the amazing Nana. I'm sure you're wondering how to get in contact with them.
How can people get to you? Both designers and artisans, and also potential clients.
Okay, so I'm reachable. We're very friendly. We're very open on all social media platforms, and we're, our handle's Blueprint Africa across everything, and we're on everything from SoundCloud to Pinterest to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. So we're very easy to get in touch with. In terms of my message, hire us, hire local, source local, support your own economy, your own ecosystem. Don't always want to import everything from Dubai or Italy or wherever. There's really a lot of talent on the continent, and we're here to hold your hand, guide you. We say that we're the guide to the African lifestyle, so we want to guide you through to identifying the right vendors, right partners. If you are a designer, then let's chat. Like, I want to see your products, I want to promote your products, I want to share what I've learned being in this space for a little while, especially if you are looking to be represented in West Africa. We have a lot of clients who use us as distribution agents so they can test other markets. So for example, if you're in Kenya and you're like, well, I'm doing well in Kenya, but will I do well in Dakar, or will I do well in Abidjan, or will I
Okay.
do well in Accra? And we can work with you and do like a pilot run for your
Ah,
products
okay.
to get you the data you need to be able to say and justify that, okay, now I'm expanding to XYZ market.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things we can do together. And as we said earlier, we're not pigeonholed. So maybe that's bad. I mean, some businesses are like, no, you have to be super razor focused, but we are opportunistic. We're looking at where the needs are and we want to meet them. So
Okay.
that's our story.
And we love it. So thank you for taking this time to sit on this couch and rant and rave and talk and share.
It was fun.
They will look for you one way or the other.
Yes, and all of you need to come. All you East Africans need to come to West Africa. I don't know what's wrong. You come to Kenya.
Yeah, but people will start telling you the issue is flight costs. Sometimes it's cheaper to fly to France than it is to fly
That's
to.
true.
As in, those are things.
That is true, and it takes too much time.
Yeah.
I agree.
And if there's a designer, let's say in Kenya, who's thinking, wow, wonderful, I've always wanted to have my things in West Africa and Blueprint Africa is perfect for me, but she needs to see my products, how does that work? Do they have to bring the products to you, or will you guys come, or how do you do your
We'll work it
quarantine?
out. Sometimes we come, sometimes people send the samples, sometimes we pay for the samples to be sent to us.
Okay, so again, you say, as you said, it's a relationship. You form a relationship, so you find a way. Okay.
Yeah, we're flexible.
Perfect.
That's the advantage of being African. We're flexible.
I know. Yeah.
We make it work because
Yeah.
we hustle.
Yes. I like that. I like that. Okay. So, thanks again.
Thank you.
Now let's go have fun.
Wine! Bye, guys!
Tea for some of us.
Okay, tea, but
A
wine
smoothie.
for me!